Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back with another recording live stream of Hearthstone. Today is Monday, November 12th, and we already have Lemon Lover on the chat saying good evening. Hey Lemon Lover. So, let's see where we are here. Daily quests. Apparently, I didn't trade something out. I got busy, missed something. Play 20 minions that cost 2 or less or win 2 games of any class. Surely I don't want to have to win 2 games of any class, but I'm going to have to win 3 games of any class anyway, so might as well roll this up. Ah man, that's a bad overlap here. I guess I only have to get 2 of these done though, so we can live with that. This will be back on Wednesday. Let's just double check to see if the new expansion isn't in here. I doubt it would be, but yeah, no Trolls expansion yet. So let's see, we could either play Paladin and Warrior or Druid and Rogue. I say we go Druid and Rogue. We haven't played in Druid and Rogue in a while. Play here, start and go. And let's see, gotta pull up. Didn't quite get all of that right. So let's see. There we go. Pull up the Twitter. My browser.
I will fight with honor. I must protect the wild.
So we can start talking about the news. So we've started November. Halloween month on my channel is over. It went, I guess, as well as I expected it to, with the slight problem of YouTube/Twitter screwing up and not showing thumbnails on Twitter, which is probably not as big of a deal as I'm making it out to be. And so now we're into November, where not a lot of content is gonna happen. It's mostly me covering random games that I got for free again, or it's more the theme of never gonna play it November, games that I'm not gonna play all the way through. And then that's kind of it, because another time slot is taken up with the Boomsday puzzle solutions, which are still airing. And hopefully in a very long run those videos will get more views. And then Borderlands 2 is back, so that's that. And right now I'm working on the end of the year Steam wishlist cleanup, which means there's not going to be a lot of game coverage in December either, which is probably not the right way to run a YouTube channel. It's just somehow become that's the way it's going. So like in December it will be the end of the year Steam wishlist cleanup, which will be very long episodes, like 3 minimum to 5 hour episodes every single day of looking at games that are on the wish list. It is the one point in which I can show off games that are adult games, which is kind of nice, because otherwise those games are going to basically never get their due, because I really can't think of a way I'd ever be able to play them on YouTube without spending a ton of extra effort censoring things. But then it also kind of depends on the game. Some games have like 5 scenes that are 5 minutes long that need to be censored, like The Witcher 3. Other games, it's the 90% of the game. So yeah, the Steam wishlist end of the year cleanup will happen in December, and also the let's see, what else?
I fight.
More of Borderlands 2, because Borderlands 2 is just super long, and more of the puzzle solutions for Boomsday solo adventure. So while there will be one thing you can certainly look at on December. That and Borderlands. There's about 3 things, and regular Hearthstone episodes and streaming. It's going to be pretty light for these last 2 months. And hopefully I could find some way next year to have a little bit better, longer content, but I'm not 100% sure where that comes from or how that would happen. I'm working on games that start with the letter V now. So I did games that start with the letter U, and really that was probably about 30 games on the wish list that start with the letter U, which is kind of a surprisingly high number in general, because if you asked a regular, just random person how many video games are worth playing that start with the letter U, I think you'd probably get 0 as the answer. But I managed to stretch even that episode into 2.5 hours. So doing V, doing W, doing X, doing Y, doing Z. I imagine each of those will be another 2.5 hour video. At a certain point I will make a end of the year video of some sort, but I don't think I'm directly copying like Giant Bomb's end of the year best video game of the year long audio things that they do, where they have a week of like 5-hour conversation podcasts. Like I'm not going to get into that, particularly because it's just me and my opinion, so I can, as one person, I can very easily go, hey, my game of the year is this game, and for me, my game of the year is going to be a game I played, which means it's not going to be a game that actually came out in 2018, because I didn't play any games, I don't think, this year that even came out in this year. So my end of the year video will be more of a talking about what I did, how I accomplished it, how I evaluate and feel I succeeded.
We will devour this world.
So let's do this, and then do this, and then do this. Alright. So, how do we want to play this now? 4, 4, 4. So we start with this one, and then this one goes here, and then let's see, we could go 1 here, 1 here, 1 here in the turn. I do feel like I'm in a little bit of a weird position though, because don't really have a lot to talk about. And see, I started back at the time I feel like I should stream, around 4 o'clock, 4:30. See, now that sucks. That was a sucky outcome. Since I have nothing but wins that I need to get, I need to not try and play ranked. I made it to rank 19. I need to lower my expectations here, and we're gonna try a rogue casual gameplay so we can get wins and just move faster. I would like to, after the stream, still have enough energy to take like a break, and then in the middle of the night record one more episode. I need to finish the episodes for the Steam wishlist cleanup so I can move on to fixing the lost footage I need to record for the end of November. So then after that point I can start recording content for January, which I should be already recording content for January, man. Like every year, if it feels like I just fall further and further behind because I overcommit. I definitely overcommitted, and I should probably just lose another time slot and go for a year with just 3 time slots. Yeah, that very well might be what I need to do. I haven't seriously given it enough thought, but it would kind of make sense to starting in January just have the lose the AA single A time slot and only have a point and click adventure time slot, a AAA time slot, and Hearthstone, and that would be it. I got a comment on one of the videos I made for covering Myst, and it was along the lines of ramble much. It was like, ramble much, this video didn't need to be an hour long, and all I replied was like, I could have gone longer, because that's pretty much the truth of it. It's like, yeah, all my videos, if you want to justify them and call them rambling, are rambling. If you want to say that they're actual valid critique, you can say they're valid critique. It really is just a matter of what you're classifying conversations as. And certainly sometimes I go off on tangents, but for the most part I try to talk about the game I'm actually playing, so I personally wouldn't classify it as rambling. I think that's probably a slightly unfair description. Alright, so if I do this and this and then do this and this,
Justice is mine.
do that. Okay, give me some armor. Starting with the news, we have a Gematsu article. We may not have a ton of news, but I've said that many times and been wrong. Gematsu has an article, Origami Shadow Edition for the Switch has been delayed to 2019. No big surprise here. Pretty much any Japanese company that announces a game just add 6 months to that date of the announcement, because they are never on time. They delay things like crazy. It's not a terrible thing though, like, because that just means they have a slightly higher tendency to not rush out bad games and then put you in positions where you feel you shouldn't buy the game brand new, or because some patch is going to come out later. Let's see. If I play this
Monsters behind you.
and this,
Into the breach.
do that.
Justice is mine.
Job done.
Gematsu has another article, Doraemon, which Doraemon is a kid's cartoon from Japan. I don't even know if Japanese people would call it anime, but from a Western perspective, it really doesn't fall into that category. So there's a game called Doraemon Nobita Chronicle of the Moon exploration game has been announced for the Switch. It's due out February 28th, 2019 in Japan. Almost certainly not coming to the West, because yeah, Doraemon just has not made any way into the made any entrance into the West.
Such a price for power.
Perhaps it should, though. Yeah.
Have a taste.
I was hoping to get a 1/1 copy of this card
Justice is
on the field.
mine.
Job done.
Here's an interesting Gamma Sutra article, and I don't know why this video, it's a video, would make any sense to be on Gamma Sutra, or why anybody would make this at all. It's called Video An Apology for Roger Ebert. I guess it's worth mentioning since Roger Ebert is dead, and that Stan Lee also passed today. It's being reported. Stan Lee made cameos and things, and so he was in like the Lego Marvel video games, his voice was. And he probably showed up in some of the Spider-Man games and maybe some of the other Marvel games that have come and gone. That being said, he's not, Stan Lee's not really too connected with video games, so there's not a lot of spin you can put on it for that reason. And in all fairness, if you look at him objectively, I'm not sure when was the last time he actually drew or created anything for a Marvel comic book. So while he would have created so many of these characters, Spider-Man and such, he certainly wasn't the writer or the animator for any of them in the past decade at least. And in many cases he may not have been even working on those comic books when they started to become popular, because comic books are pretty old, like the 40s. So he could have been very much the first generation. I'd have to, somebody who's more in the comic books than I am would have to give me a real timeline of what issues Stan Lee actually worked on. There's also Jack Kirby as an issue, certainly always. So it'd be interesting for a biography to come out, more about it. But he's a likable guy. It seems everybody seemed to love him. So I won't take that from Stan Lee. There's no reason to. On the other hand, almost in direct opposition, Roger Ebert in video games is not a likable guy. Everything I've ever heard about him in video games is he kind of hated them. He wasn't actually that good of a movie critic. That he was kind of a... He was very much... His reviews were for people that just liked your average terrible movie, not so much movies that challenged people or did anything else. Like, he hated Aliens, for example, or Alien. One of those movies is what I think I may be wrong about this, but like, Roger Ebert doesn't have a lot to do with video games, and his opinions kind of suck, in my subjective opinion. They're just not in line with what I think I would like for movies or video games. I don't think they're in line with what most people would like in video games, most video game fans. But
you cannot escape the shadow of death.
So, under this video called An Apology for Roger Ebert, it says, this is an apology in the sense of a Greek apologia, so why not call it an apologia of the systematic defense of a position or opinion. And see, this seems to not really go into full detail of what this video says, so they want you to watch this GDC video. I mean, it really is just like a pulled out of your butt controversial presentation to give, and it really doesn't seem like it should be at the Game Developers Conference.
Job's done.
Like, at the end of the day, like, what is this really doing but potentially convincing game developers to be what I would guess is on the opposite side of most of the game players' opinions. And it's kind of like clickbait controversy. Yeah, that's what this is really. It's a GDC video clickbait using somebody's name who's recognizable for kind of no reason. Like, Roger Ebert is dead and buried. His opinions stand on their own. Nobody needs to defend them. You can go back into history and look at them and see if you agree with them or not. At this point, it seems very silly for anybody to make it. And it's not even like Roger Ebert died this year. So, like, I'm pretty sure he died a couple of years ago. Yeah, what a strange
Justice is mine.
presentation to be even approved. Like, if I had more time, I would sit through this and watch it all, but it is 56 minutes. 56 minutes of what looks like mostly a PowerPoint presentation that is showing a single photo for all 56 minutes, and it just zooms into different parts of the photo. Like, and then the top speaker is in the top left corner, taking up barely 1/16 of the screen. Like, the name of the photo is called North Shot the Chess Player. It's just a painting. Wow, what a lazy looking presentation too. Like, that's just an awful way to present it. I would have much preferred the speaker just to be on screen the whole time. Am I gonna win here? Or do I have to do something different? Alright.
You will be missed.
Let's see.
Quickly, justice is mine.
Moving on, we have a game on Steam. Let's just make sure it's not full of nudity. Called Jim's Kingdom. Hopefully this web peak still works. The web peak will start screwing up more often when I get back to recording things like Borderlands and turn off my second monitor. But since I'm doing the end of the year wishlist cleanup, I've had the second monitor enabled for the entirety of that time, and that's causes it not to screw up. So it's $2.99 and it doesn't look terrible. This is actually quite a lot of polish for a match 3 game. This one I think goes to the follow list. Now I do need to make a confession about just how many freaking games I have added back to the wish list in some post off-screen adding little gaps, particularly visual novels. I think that there probably is room for me to I'm gonna have to make some decisions and really go through all the visual novels a second time and just say, like, there's way too many on the wish list. And there's just general weirdness with this whole Steam wishlist issue too. It really is just e-begging in a lot of ways. It's just like, oh yeah, I'd love to own all of these things. I know back when I was a super fan of anime, I had a super long wish list of movies I wanted to own, and for the most part I think I got, in hindsight, I think I've gotten more than enough for me to enjoy, although I could probably spout off 3 to 4 100 other series. Yeah, I could probably figure out a lot more that I would like to own. if I gave it some attention. Like, part of the problems with anime back when I was getting it on DVD, and now I probably want to upgrade most things to Blu-ray. Part of the problem though was that things were simply just not out and available for purchase, like incomplete ways. You could get maybe the first 3 volumes of something, and then the last 6 volumes weren't out yet. Of course, that's probably been fixed quite a bit. Speaking of anime, although it doesn't really have anything to do with video games, Crunchyroll and Funimation's contract broke up, and from looking at the list of everything that's leaving Crunchyroll because of that, that's pretty much the death nail in Crunchyroll, which is what Hulu was trying to do for streaming TV in general. Is that Hulu was always run by these big conglomerate of competing content creators who eventually were always planning to break it up into things like CBS All Access. On the other hand, maybe all those Funimation titles will move over to Netflix, and that would be nice. I could see Netflix, or like Amazon.com had, Amazon Prime had a kind of decent lineup of anime for a short time, and then seemed like they lost it. But I'm supposed to be talking about video games, so GameIndustry.biz has an article. Valve condemns racist behavior of pro players during Dota 2 matches. Developer says it will not tolerate racist language between pro players, but puts the onus on the teams to discipline. So this was 2 separate incidences directed at Chinese teams during the professional Dota 2 matches. Let's see. Andre, quote, Skim, S-K-M, Ong from Complexity Gaming was formally reprimanded by his team, receiving the maximum fine for racist comments he made towards the Chinese team Royal Never Gonna Give Up during the Dream League tournament earlier this month. Just days later, let's see.
Justice is mine.
Carlo, quote, Cuckoo, K-U-K-U, Pallid from TNC Pro Team used the same slur during another match, which resulted in thousands of Chinese players review bombing Dota 2 on Steam after Valve failed to take action against either player. I'd like to know what the slur was. Like, this is always the problem with these journalists in video gaming in particular, is that, like, can you tell me a clue? This is why I think, like, they even when they say, like, the N-word, like, in the United States, you know what the N-word is usually, unless somebody's being cheeky and using it to mean something else. But if you're just telling me it's a racial slur against a Chinese person, I'm not sure I know too many in the first place. Can you not, without saying the word, give me a clue on how offensive this word is, or which one it was? See, I'm reading the rest of this article, and let's see. There's a quote. Yeah, some people may not agree or understand why certain words are harmful, but it doesn't make it any less so to those on the receiving end. Well, there is a famous quote that offense is not given, it must be taken. But again, no clue. No clue, because the reporting refuses to tell me what the word is. and see. So what am I left to say or do at that point? In the end, I guess all I can say is the story seems to be like everybody is doing their part. The teams are agreeing and controlling their own members as best as they can after the incidences. They're not backing them. They're not saying what they did was acceptable. They're fining them and telling them, no, don't do that. There is a fine line, but a pretty thick line as far as being, depending on the person who's drawing the line, I guess. For some people, there's a very fine line between being actively, like, offensive and unacceptably, and being unprofessional as a sports professional, and then being aggressive and trying to psych out your opponent. And at the professional level, that is something that happens in football, it happens in baseball, and like soccer and every other professional sport, is that there is a amount of aggression and baiting of the opponent, and the last people I think that ever should be word policed would be people in the esports region.
Justice is mine.
And so there is a slight concern that a lot of the complaints of people against people, because there's been a lot of articles about esports players in particular. PC Gamer certainly was going on a tirade before I stopped listening to the articles about just all the esports players. Let's see.
There once was a man from Gilneas.
Let's keep on playing. I'm not even sure I remember the point I was making. Yeah. I guess I'll just leave it there. This will keep happening, and it seems like Valve is doing the right thing. And the teams are doing the right thing. On the other hand, there will probably be people that complain about people review bombing Dota 2. That's, as far as I'm concerned, their freedom of expression. If Valve came out and started deleting those complaints, I think that would be bad for Valve, and I think it would be in the wrong direction for Valve, which is sort of hopefully learning to be more towards free speech. So I hope that those people who review bombed it, I hope their reviews get to stay. And it seems like everybody is expressing themselves freely and appropriately, except for the two players. And the two players have been punished for not following the team rules that almost certainly they agreed to follow at the beginning.
Have a taste.
There once was a man from Gilneas.
Justice is mine.
So let's move on to the next story. Gamasutra has an article. Nintendo is ending video streaming support for the Wii. So if there's some people out there still watching Netflix and all other streaming services that were on the Wii, which couldn't have been that many, that's getting shut down. So now only the 3DS system is the only system that supports Netflix right now. But I thought Netflix was coming to the Switch. I know YouTube just came to the Switch. So, I guess that's an interesting question. Maybe it is just YouTube is on the Switch and that's all Nintendo cares about. I could understand that. Like, YouTube Kids. I think it also is only YouTube Kids on the Switch, not even default YouTube. The good news is, if you have a Wii, you probably should just hack it and use a Wii browser or a hack to watch Netflix through a browser or something. I'm sure there's probably Netflix. I'm sure there's ways to do it, but I don't know why you would be holding on to playing Netflix on your Wii anyways. This is hardly a brand new system at that point. The Wii came out, the Wii U came out, it failed, but yeah, just time to move on. In the meantime, somebody who would have bought a Wii brand new probably didn't have a cell phone that was like an Android or an iPhone, so they couldn't have been watching Netflix that way. Honestly, I'm not even 100% sure that Netflix was much of a streaming service even when the Wii came out. It probably was still in this very early infancy for streaming, and now everybody's got a cell phone. Everybody can watch it there. Everybody's a significant number of people probably have smart TVs at this point. It's not a big loss. Like, it would probably be pretty easy this Black Friday to spend just a couple $100s to buy a TV. In fact, I'm thinking about buying a TV this Black Friday to replace one that's breaking. That would be like a 4K smart TV. Pretty, not looking for a super big 60-inch or anything. And meanwhile, I'm also thinking about replacing my cell phone because it's old and the battery is worn out at this point. And it's driving me crazy. But I'm also thinking about buying a lot of video games during Black Friday and seeing if I could find a way to buy a new video card. And all the while, this YouTube channel, which is my source for income, has not made any income this year at all because of YouTube kicking me out of the partner program. It would have been nice to get a $100 paycheck at least, which almost certainly I would have earned enough ad revenue to get at least $100, if not a lot more this year. So yeah, times are tough for everybody. Let's see. Should have started the Patreon a lot earlier. That might have helped. Alright, so hit this.
Justice is mine.
Next we have a game on Steam called Video Game. I seriously doubt such a low effort named game is going to make it to the wish list or the follow list. Yep. I almost kind of get the idea of what this is. Like, it's trying to be kind of ironically bad, but it's kind of like a 4-player Pong with hold ability. And it's $1.99. I'm sorry, for just a low effort name though. You could have called this Hyper Pong, you could have called it 4-player Pong. You could have been more descriptive than video game for by far.
Justice is mine.
So yeah, closing that tab. We have a game on Steam called Biokin. Looks like one of these slightly more polished single screen puzzle games. Doesn't look so bad that it doesn't deserve the to be on the follow list. Although at this point I am starting to realize I am going to have to filter the follow list more often than just once a year, because it's just going to be a really long thing. This is one of those games where your actions are mirrored, and so you have to maneuver everybody into the right position. That's not super complicated.
I wonder.
Let's see, trigger. Play this. We do
There
this.
once was a man from Gilneas.
Justice
Go
is
ahead and hit
mine.
this. So I'll put blocking. It's not biokin, it's blocking on the follow list. Let's see. Am I gonna lose over here? If I can kill one of these, I can kill several others of these people. Alright. Destroy up to 3 random minions. I'm hoping for 3 in the middle, but okay.
Come, try your luck. Justice is mine.
There we go. We have a game on Steam called Entwined: The Perfect Murder. It says it's an adventure game. It's a hidden object game. Like people are starting to get away from the hidden object tag. $4.79 is a little bit cheaper for hidden object games, but I could kind of tell at the first this level of graphics tends to be a hidden object game. And ironically, even if a game has only one sequence in which you do something like this, I still would classify it as a hidden object game. Like, I could be 100% wrong and think that it's a hidden object game, and really it isn't, because there's like 5 minutes of playing hidden object and 30 hours of doing something different. But I still would classify it as a hidden object game and not put it on the follow list. Yeah, at this point, I think new hidden object games would have to be part of a series or look amazingly different and good for me to add them to the follow list. I'm just rejecting them out of hand. My attempts to cover hidden object games pretty much has been done. It's failed, it's been done. No need to move any further down that direction. Play this.
Job's done.
Next we have a game on Steam called BB and Tina Adventure with Horses. This clearly is like a kid's game. Doesn't look terrible though. It does have this kind of smooth CGI look to it, where if I was making a horse game and I had an infinite amount of budget, I would try to make the horses look a lot better. And you see, like in Witcher 3 and Skyrim, those horses, there was some effort put into making these. It seems like this is mostly just a racing horses things.
I wonder.
I would say that there is possibly a little bit too much. Okay, now I'm seeing some scenes of feeding the horses and cleaning the horses. I think there might be a slightly too much danger in having kids ride horses. Because if they get thrown or stompled on, they can get really hurt, and they're not wearing particularly the amount of padding I would like to see. I guess it really comes down to how much you trust a horse, your kids, and that the horses are, I would say, probably as dangerous, if not more dangerous, than having a kid ride like a BMX bike. Because when they're on a BMX bike, it's a like full head helmet and pads and elbow pads and things like that. At least that's what you should be having your children wear. Although that's pretty much a side tangent. This game is $20, $19.99, no discount. But I guess I just have to put it on the follow list. Like, I could see if this developer has made something else. Yeah, they have. The game is in bad company as far as 2 mixed games as far as reviews and 1 negative review. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and switch to European account at this point. We'll save this for Wednesday, because I think if I start powering through the news in the games that came out for Steam, I think we could finish a little bit earlier. Go for 2 hour-and-a-half videos instead of 3 hour and 20-minute videos. Yep. Yeah, and the publisher that is publishing this horse game also is mostly published mixed reviewed games, so yeah. BB and Tina Adventures with Horses. I actually did want it on the fall list. I would have really liked to cover a good kids game, particularly like that. Good kind of Barbie style game, but they have a very high tendency to not be good. Alright, so I'm going to re-roll this one, and then we're going for Warrior, and then we can play Rogue and try to play combo cards. So 1 victory with Warrior, and let's see, where are we on standard play? We're at rank 23, so we should definitely try to get some victories and get up to rank 20, 19, 18 if we can. Next we have a game on Steam called Tower Keepers. Looks like it's a well, they say it's an RPG game. I thought it might be a tower defense game. Yeah, having tower in your name does make me think of a tower defense game. Seems like it might be just a kind of almost idle game. Like, I don't know how much you're really doing here. Are you just clicking? Are your enemies attacking? Are your heroes attacking by themselves? It says real-time player versus player. Alright, well, I'll put this on the fall list and we'll see what kind of reception it gets. Like, it's getting easier, certainly, to determine. It's getting easier to look at these games and then just put them on the follow list and then come back and say, I'll check back later. We don't really need to talk about articles that are talking about games that aren't coming out. So I guess I can just say TechRaptor has an article that it's called Stylish Strategy Shooter Void Bastards is coming to early 2019 to PC and Xbox One. This game does look stylish in little bits, but I don't need to get on hype trains for games that when I have plenty of time to just just focus on just focus on making covering the games that actually came out right now. Games like this game, The Lost Soul, which looks like very simplistic line vector graphics in a platforming game. Made in Unity, no surprise there. Although this kind of graphics is an insult to Unity games, frankly, because you can do a lot better than this.
What now?
Although, to be fair, if I was trying to make a game myself, it probably would turn out about this good. Like, I can't draw, I'm not an artist. So, yeah, this isn't making it to the fall list, though. Alright, can we do this? Shoot, no we can't.
Listen here.
I was not paying enough attention. I would need something to... I should have played this.
I strike.
I screwed up there. I should have played this. This card, and then I could have rushed. Next we have a game on Steam called Oppai. That's O-P-P-A-I puzzle. Oppai being the Japanese word for breasts. So it's a simplistic puzzle game with anime girls in with large cleavage. Let's see, apparently this guy has realized that I'm not gonna win already, so he's stopped spectating.
Job's done.
The thing about this puzzle game, and a lot of these simplistic puzzle games, they're not side puzzle games now, they're jigsaw puzzle games, but they barely have any pieces at all. So it's like a ridiculous achievement game or a ridiculously super simple game for no reason. Like, you're talking like 36 pieces, it feels like not, maybe you're getting up to 50 pieces sometimes, but you're hardly talking about games that are making it. And a lot of these anime pictures aren't even really about really focusing on the cleavage, so it's a slight, I would say, slight false advertisement. Wow, that was amazingly lucky. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam that's early access called Hexen Homogeny. Looks like it's a witch running around an open world. It kind of feels like it's a slight asset flip game, honestly. So this feels kind of like a cheap Chinese game that's half thought through and just doesn't have any polish on it. If you were to compare this, say, to something like Hexen, the original Hexen game, you might say, well, okay, it looks better than that game that's incredibly old. This is an English and Turkish game. You usually don't see that. So, despite my criticisms, though, I will say this UI here, and here has more polish. So this might deserve a little bit more of a follow-up. So I'm okay with putting this on the follow list. Probably not gonna make it to the wish list, but I would like to see more and be a little generous here. Alright, let's see. Let's do that. That. And that.
Always little time.
Gamatsu has an article, Bandai Namco to announce original title Project in November 15th due to the monthly Koro Koro comic. It's likely to be called Ninja Box. Yeah, the update here says it is called Ninja Box for the Switch. You can read more about it here. Doesn't sound like, if it's a Switch only game, that it's something that's super interesting to me.
Justice shall prevail.
Quickly take as much victory as possible.
There's little time.
Looking on the wishlist and doing the Steam wishlist cleanup and looking at games that came out from like Bandai Namco, Konami, and Capcom, it has revealed to me that I need to do some more research and become more familiar with those Japanese companies, because I don't have enough of an understanding of what the quality or level of their products are. Like, it seems, if I was to roughly guess, my understanding is Bandai Namco has a bunch of tie-ins to like anime shows, because Bandai also makes anime things, and then they make pretty bad licensed games off their own licenses, anime games. And then Capcom, I think, really has only connection to a few well-known anime shows, but then they do have slightly more original IP characters from their older games, but they haven't really done a good job of releasing. Okay, we're gonna play Rogue now. Like, they really haven't done a good job of releasing a good Capcom game to support any of their products. So like Dead Rising is a great example. That got canceled. And then Konami doesn't even want to make video games, and so there really is just this legacy holdover of Konami games, some of which were good, but maybe it doesn't really matter to cover or talk about them at all. Maybe you just skip like all the Metal Gear Solid games and go straight to Death Stranding, and play that, which allegedly Death Stranding is in the polishing phase, so 2 or 3 years from now it should be out and ready to be played. Yep. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called The Last Sphinx ARG as an augmented reality game. I don't think I could ever actually cover an ARG. I know that there's probably one on my wish list, but it would be crazy and difficult and just kind of not... It's hard to criticize an ARG when the ARG makes you go outside of the video game and do research. Like, that doesn't feel like that's a game that's being fair to the player. It's making you make your own entertainment. Like, generally speaking, what I would like to see happen for a new ARG, if I was going to play it, is I would like to say, I know 90% of all the facts that need to be known, because I'm an adult who's a little bit curious and has learned quite a bit. So, as somebody who's an adult who's learned quite a bit, I should have the basic knowledge, or at least know how to get the basic knowledge very quickly. If it's an ARG where I have to go into a deep dive and figure out Morse code to then figure out how to sweeten the audio on a file and play it backwards so I can hear the Morse code, so then I can translate that Morse code from this dead language into English. It's like, if it's really, really obscure things, that's me spending more time outside of the video game than inside of it. And that's not something I'm interested in doing. Let's see, next we have a game on Steam called Blade Line VR, which seems like it's a little bit too much neon brightness. This whole neon art style thing has got to go away. Look, I know Beat Saber was a thing, and this is literally just Beat Saber with people, and I assume at that point then this is not to the beat of a music. Yeah, maybe I'd put this on the fall list. I'm still not 100% sure. I guess I'll put it on the fall list. I'm not sure what I'm really doing with VR games at this point. Like, I can put them on the fall list and just kind of leave them there forever, or I can just remove them. Gamasutra has an article. The mobile publisher Flare Games has laid off 45 of its staff. Let's see if this article mentions how many people actually worked at this game at this company in the first place. No. No list of how many that is. Comparatively, 45 staff could be a huge number. It could be almost all of them, or it could be a very small number. And I have no idea what Flare Games has made, if anything. So let's Google search and see what games they have under their title, because here I'm having to do the journalistic research instead of the stupid stupid Gamasutra article, people. Oops. Well, that sucks. So they have Tap Empire, Super Spell Heroes, Flickerina, Royal Revolt 2, Nonstop Night, Nonstop Chuck Norris, Olympus Rising, Zombie Gunship Survival, and then it says you can click more games, but they're actually hunting the more that came up. So yeah, some very, very generic mobile games there. No big surprise there that they'd end up having to lay off people. Gamatsu has an article, a new Momete Night, M-A-M-O-T-T-E. Title is coming to the Switch in 2019. You just have a blurry image here of some chibi anime girls from like a magazine. The first Momete Night, known as Protect Me Night in English, was released for the Xbox 360 in 2010. The second game, Mina da Momete Night Hime no Tikomiski Rapidly, known as Gala Protectors in English, was released on the 3DS in 2014. So as far as this series actually getting sold in an appropriate way, that's not really happening as far as just titles or staying with consistent consoles. So from that back knowledge, I would assume the new Momete Night coming to the Switch is like a digital download, and won't be very popular in the West if it comes to the West. In part of understanding Capcom, I guess this Gamatsu article might help. Capcom USA has appointed Rob Dyer as Chief Operating Officer. He'll be responsible for all aspects of the company's publishing businesses. Now, Capcom, I believe, is the Resident Evil developer, so unless I'm completely wrong about that, which I might be, there's a pretty good chance that this might be an indicator of Capcom giving Capcom USA more control over the game series like Resident Evil. Or yeah, it says, there's a quote at the end here: he will help steer the success of our incredible portfolio of popular brands such as Monster Hunter World, coming out on Steam worldwide, probably got them more interested in a more Western audience. Resident Evil 7's success is largely due to the Western Capcom offices versus the Japanese Capcom offices. Street Fighter, I think Street Fighter has a lot more room to grow. That's a generous way of putting it. Like, I think Street Fighter can could very easily be
This guy's
improved.
toast.
Justice shall prevail.
Devil May Cry, they're working on a new Devil May Cry game, so that's another thing that hopefully will succeed very well. And wow, how did I even end up playing combo? Oh, because I was playing the rogue. Well, let's get back in here. Next game, I guess I can show. I guess it's alright. It's called Super Jigsaw Puzzle Anime. In fairness, at least this is a more reasonable number of pieces. This still really isn't that many. Like, for a jigsaw puzzle aficionado, this isn't that many pieces. And you still run into the issue of, if these pictures are licensed, okay. If they aren't, I mean, you never really would know. But a jigsaw puzzle game in general should allow you to put any pictures you want, and should just let the player, this is only 30 puzzles, you really should just let the player go and steal an image off of Google image search if they want to, and put it into your puzzle game and just let you play. That's why, like, I don't remember the name of it, but there was this like puzzle game that came out in the early 90s that's still probably the best puzzle game ever, because it does everything you'd ever want a puzzle game to do. You just import your own pictures. The idea that somebody would pay, let's see, this is selling for $5.40. The idea that somebody would pay $5.40 for 30 puzzles, and then they would have to go and buy another puzzle game for $5.30 is ridiculous. Like, you would have to be a huge sucker to fall for that. Let's see, do I want to play this?
Here we go.
No, I'm gonna wait. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Dead Dungeon. Looks like a very basic, ugly pixel graphics platformer, Super Meat Boy attempted clone. Yeah, I don't see anything here that would catch my attention for even a second. So it's not making it to the fall list. Let's see. Just send that back.
Here we go.
Gamatsu has an article. Pokemon Detective Pikachu movie debut trailer is out. So let's see. It's 2 minutes and 21 seconds, and I'll look at it. The thing about this, I think originally, that's going to kill everybody, is the idea of a Pikachu who can talk, who is a detective in a real world with live action people. Like it.
Here we go.
It just smacks directly into the credibility of all the cartoon Pokemon movies. Like, if you're a fan of the cartoon Pokemon movies, I think you're gonna just hate this idea at all, completely. Now, if you're an adult and you think this might be funny, then you have to ask yourself, why as an adult are you gonna watch a Pokemon movie? See, this really doesn't feel like it's a game or a movie for kids.
Job's done.
Pikachu looks like furrier than you would expect him to be. compared to how he's been shown in all the cartoons. There's lots of other Pokemon that seem to just be around. It's almost like the Power Rangers type experience where you have this uncanny valley of the putties and the villains in Power Rangers, and then you have the live action teenager show mixed together.
Here we go.
Job's done.
And let's not forget that Japan is known for making terrible live action movies for anime, and Pokemon as a cartoon is an anime. So that's really all this is going to turn into, is just yet another terrible live action movie. And nobody really, I think, is going to expect too much, and I don't think nobody is going to really be surprised when they don't get that much. Alright. 2 damage, turn on damage minion.
Go.
Job's done.
Next we have a game on Steam called Accent Crash Landing. Looks like it's maybe an adventure game, 3D platformer game. Let's watch a little bit of gameplay. The graphics don't look great here. And I'm not 100% sure I could just chalk this up to an art style. Let's see. Need to play one more combo card. Still watching the video. Not really seeing a lot here, but I'd be willing to give this one a pass and be really generous. It doesn't seem like it's much more than a Crash Bandicoot clone.
Let's begin.
Watch your back.
Yeah, this actually doesn't look that good though. Yeah, I can't justify this staying on the wish list or on the follow list. I gotta figure out how to just keep on calling it the follow list instead of the wish list. Yeah, this just looks way too rough. Accent Crash Landing. Maybe it's a hidden gem. Maybe people will come back and tell me, oh no, it's actually a really good game, you should totally play it, but I doubt it. Gematsu has an article, Supermassive Games is working on, quote, several unannounced PlayStation exclusives. Quote, our relationship with Sony is still excellent. So, the Supermassive, let's see, would do this,
Here
and this,
we go.
and then in return right there. Let's see. They released the 2015 game Until Dawn, which I kind of wish would have been coming to PC at some point and never really did. And then they went on to release the Dark Pictures Man of Medan, which is coming to multiple platforms. I don't recognize that game at all.
Here we go.
I wouldn't be surprised though if this was Supermassive Games' way of just covering up a rumor, because you know Sony Entertainment Interactive has really peeved a lot of the Japanese developers. They used to be super faithful to them with their continued censorship. There's a couple more games that had to be extra censored, and it seems like every week there's going to be a couple more games that have to be extra censored to be on PlayStation. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Supermassive is actually thinking of not making PlayStation exclusives, but it could be the opposite. Really, it could be that Supermassive is a Western company and thus they're getting treated a lot better. The Dark Pictures Man of Medan, MEDAN, is due out for the PS4, Xbox, and PC in 2019. And this is an article from Reset Era, and I'm still kind of iffy about these Reset Era articles. Like, sap that, attack here, and then play this.
There once was a man from Gilneas.
And then end the turn. Next, we've got a game on Steam called Zether. Let's see, early access action. I'm having a hard time figuring out what kind of game this is. Are you flying through rings? Let's see, is there a video? We can skip the logo. Is this even in English? Yeah, it seems like it's a flying through rings game. It has a certain level of polish to it. Doesn't English language not supported? Okay, well, fine, forget it. It's off the wish list. You're gonna do me like that and not support my language? Then I'll just not play your game.
There once was a man from Gilneas.
Like, and the same should be true for anybody else. If you only speak Spanish and the game doesn't support Spanish, then yeah, don't buy the game. No duh. That's just supply and demand right there. Let's see. Next we have a game called Lightberry Episode 1. Episodic game still coming out, unfortunately. This looks like it's an adventure game of sorts. I don't think I can make a full decision though on a game like this until it says it's adventure, RPG, indie, and strategy. I think you just have to put these games on the follow list and see if they ever finish. Or maybe I could come back after some people have reviewed this and say if they hate episode 1, well then that's the death nail. That's the nail in the coffin for that series. So I don't need to go any further. Let's see.
Here we go.
Before we attack, let's do this, this, attack here, get the explosive trap, and then we'll see. Oh man, that only gave me 1? That sucks. I don't feel like it should have worked that way. I feel like I should have had 2. This Light Fairy Tale, as I'm watching the video, has a lot of animated like cutscenes that look really good, so it looks like you'll probably get some interesting cutscenes. I don't know what that really speaks to the quality of a video game though, because I guess it means your budget is not at absolute zero. And certainly that is more of a Japanese Eastern thing to do than a Western game developer thing to do, because Western game developers seem to be more than willing to make games with like no cutscenes whatsoever and not even think about it.
New shinies.
Let's see. Let's play this.
Here we
Check
go.
this. And enter.
One shot, one.
Keep on playing. I'm reading an article that doesn't really have anything to do with video games. It has to do with a collectible card deck developer apparently making a really dumb mistake. Oh man, I guess I could have triggered his death rattle twice. Alright, well I still can trigger his death rattle then once. We have a game on Steam called Beat Blocks VR. Seems like it's some kind of block placing 3D Tetris game. You know, early access in VR. I guess this is an interesting way to do Tetris. Look up, reach the piece you want and pull it down. And I guess the whole platform is going up and the pieces are staying stationary. Interesting. I mean, that's a kind of cool idea for a Tetris game. Not a bad thought, actually. I'm surprised that somebody else hasn't thought of it. So I'll put that on the fall list. This will be our last game for this recording. We have a game called Doggo Dig Down, which looks like a terrible pixely MS Paint graphics game. Yeah, looks like there's literally nothing here as far as the game. That's not making it to the follow list. Let's see. This.
Time's up.
Attack here. And destroy that while we're at it.
Here we go.
Kill that one while we're at it. Then you'll have to kill the other one to kill that one. Next there's a game called Hermitage Strange Case Files. Unfortunately it's not in English, it's only in simplified Chinese, so it looks like it's a visual novel. It actually looks pretty interesting. It would be nice if some of these games did come over to English. It's almost like 100% backwards right now, but I imagine it will eventually get fixed. Where the good Chinese games don't get translated out of Chinese, and the bad Chinese games where nobody cares totally get translated to English so that they can hopefully sucker some other people in like the other Asian countries into buying it. Yeah, shame. Maybe some of these games also, like 5-10 years from now, will start getting translated as the market shifts as far as who and where people can play video games. See, I guess I'm potentially going to lose here. Yep. Not too bad. In fact, I may have gone a little too long in this recording, and we may find out that the next recording is actually less than an hour. I doubt it, but we can see. So we've got another one that doesn't matter because we can save it for Wednesday. And we're already done with the Americas and European accounts, so in between the recording I'll just switch over to the Asian account. That's going to be it for this recording. Stay tuned if you're watching live. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.